Halloween, Halloween, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's time for the big giveaway. Halloween has come. All you lucky kids with silver shamrock masks, gather round your TV set, put on your masks, and watch. All witches, all skeletons, all jack-o'-lanterns, gather round and watch. Watch the magic pumpkin.
And then they all died in Halloween 3. What's up, guys? Fears, audience, fears. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing great. I've had an okay day. I got some good news and I got some bad news. But I hope everybody's having a good day. The good news is I talked to my mom and my grandma today. They seem to be doing quite well. They seem to be doing all right, and that's good. My grandma's legs were like swollen, but she said that her legs have went down a bit. She's just incredibly tired. She had COVID. Now she's COVID free, thank God. And now my grandma's just resting because whenever an elderly person gets COVID, it takes a lot out of them, right? So my mom went over today to take care of my grandma. So I got to talk to my mom and my grandma. My mom seems to be doing all right. Again, like I said before, if my mom stays busy, then she's not crying, over my dad. But she said, "Oh, I'm doing all right." Because I said, "Mom, are you doing okay? You doing all right?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay." And I was like, "Anything wrong?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, I think about him. I said, well, yeah. I said, we all do. And I said, "Mom, just take care of grandma." And I said, "Just stay busy." And I said, then over time, things will get better. But I'm glad that my grandma and my mom are doing all right. Anyway, shout out to the fans. Shout out to all you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. So that's the good news. The bad news is I did not go to the second day of the convention for a couple reasons. I was like, you know what? I said, I've already bought one thing from the convention. I've already went. Saturday's the big day, right? I said, I could be here at home being more productive, applying for jobs, cleaning my house, stuff like that. And what Mercenary Man said really struck a chord. He's like, Fears, that's the last place you need to go. That's the like buying stuff, save your money. So I decided not to go to the second day. Plus I was tired too. So I slept in, applied to some jobs today. I'm going to make some dinner here after the stream, apply to some more jobs after, and then I'm going to edit some videos and then call it a night. And then I cleaned up my house a little bit. I vacuumed and I mopped the kitchen floor. And then I wiped down some of these windows. And not all of them. I need to do this side and that side. So I just did these two over here. So yeah. What up, Richie? Richie says, "Hey, Fears." What up, Richie? So I didn't go for a couple of reasons. I wanted to go. Also, I had to go to my church and help them out with something. I had to help them. There's not a lot of young people at our church, so I had to help them fold a lot of tables and chairs and put them away. So I did that. So that was one of the big reasons. But also I was like, because I could have went to the convention because the convention was near my church in Orlando. And I thought, you know what? I'll just help out my church. I'll go back home, get some sleep because I was tired, man. So I slept for a little bit, got up, and then so I got up at around 8 or 9. My church called me, went down there, helped them, came back, got a couple more hours of sleep, set my alarm clock, woke up around 12, 1-ish, cleaned a little bit, applied to 4 jobs. And I'll tell you the 4 jobs. It was McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, and then a car wash. So, because at this point, I'll take anything, right? So then there's that. After I did that, then I had some lunch, and then I cleaned these windows, mopped the floor of the kitchen floor, vacuumed, and there was one more thing I did. What else? I mopped the kitchen floor, vacuumed, did these 2 windows over here. Vacuumed in my bedroom. So I vacuumed in here, vacuumed in my bedroom. Oh, and then there was tons of leaves outside of my front door because of the hurricane, and I hadn't swept them up yet. So I swept them all up and got them all out of my front door. So yeah. So yeah, there's all that. But anyway, shout out to Jeff for putting on a good show. And I had to text Jeff. I said, hey, Jeff, I had to help my church. I said, I really don't have the money right now to go to the second day. And he said, no worries, Fears. And I said, well, keep in touch, man. And I said, if I do have to move back home, I said, I'll fly out here for some of the bigger shows. Like, I really want to go to the Super RetroCom one. That one is freaking huge, guys. Huge. I still haven't edited the last one and put it up. And he's like, oh, yeah, Fears, I'll definitely keep in touch. And I was like, sweet, Jeff, sweet. I'm like, I appreciate that, buddy. So, and he's like, are you going to move home? I said, I haven't gave up hope. I said, I have until the 21st through the 25th to re-sign with my lease. And I said, if I can't find a job by then, I'm just going to call my mom and, my mom and I almost said my mom and my dad. I'm sorry, guys. My mom and my brother and, I'll come home and figure out my life. But anyway, Jeff put on a great show. I'm going to edit it here in a few days. So tonight I'm working on Sleepaway Camp. Yes, I'm going to finish editing Sleepaway Camp. I'm going to edit the Missouri vlog. I'm going to probably just jump back and forth and work on both because I need to get those done. I'm going to apply to some more jobs tonight and all that good stuff. But the good news is my grandma's doing well and my mom's doing well because whenever I was in town, we were all an emotional wreck. Everybody was. So, and it still doesn't even feel real yet. Like, it's getting more real. It's getting more real as the days are going by. Vision says, yes! That's right, Visions. I'm going to work on Sleepaway Camp tonight. Hopefully I finish it. And if I finish it, it'll be super late. So I won't upload it tonight. I'll upload it in a couple of days when everybody can enjoy it during the day. But anyway, today's topics are, let me just get those going. Today's topics are, hang on. I'm going to do my Dead End Drive-In review. Yes, Visions, I finally finished it last night. It's not that it wasn't a good movie. This couch is so incredibly comfy. I'm telling you, Visions, if you put this up and had a blanket over you, anyone and everyone would fall asleep. As I'm watching Sleepaway Camp, I fell asleep twice. And I was like, by high or hell water, I am finishing it last night. Finally. And you know how I finished it? I didn't even sit here. I just sat here like this and just kind of leaned up against it so I wouldn't fall asleep. So I'm watching like this. And then I had some dinner. I put my dinner right here, And I was sipping a soda, eating, watching. So that's the first one. We're going to do a Dead End Drive-In review. Since we're getting into the Halloween kind of spirit, the next one is a blast from the past. We're going to be doing some Halloween stories from Fears' past. Some of these I may have told you guys in the past. Other ones I've been saving because we're in the Halloween month now. And then the last one is I wanted to talk about my dad. I hope you guys don't mind because I'm really missing him. Vision says, the older I get, the easier it is to fall asleep on a couch. Right? I'm telling you, man. Visions, how old are you? Are you near my age? Or are you a little bit younger? Because I'm 38, man. You know, Fears. I snooze all the time. I'd be taking naps. I take at least one nap a day. Oh, my Lord. One nap a day? Oh, my gosh. So, yeah. Visions, I forgot, how old are you? Just a bit younger. Okay, so I'm 38. Are you in your 30s, Visions? Are you 31, 32, 33, something like that? So, yeah, just a bit younger. So I'm guessing 31-ish, 32-ish. And you know what? For 38, I don't have too many gray hairs. I've been looking. Not too many. And my brother is going bald, like on the back. Like my brother right here is going bald right here. But like on the sides, he's fine, and on the front, he's fine, right? You're not 69, Visions, whatever. I'm guessing you said a little bit younger. I don't know if Visions is going to tell me his real age. I've seen Vision's face once, but it was kind of like filtered. Like he sent me a music video he made, and it was like white. He made it all in white and black. I know he had short hair. And he looked about 32-ish, 33-ish, somewhere around there. That's what I'm guessing, Visions. I guess he'll tell me like when we finally meet one day. But see, by then you'll be older by the time we meet. Hopefully we meet soon, man, because I love you like a brother, buddy. You're a good fan. You're a good friend. You're awesome. But anyway, those are the topics. Dead End Drive-In Review, Halloween Stories, and then I Miss My Dad. So let's start with that one. Sometimes I have to bite my lip. Like literally, I was just about to say, yeah, if I can't find a job, I'm going to call my mom and my dad. And I'm like, oh shit, hang on. You know, it's hard to like it seems real, but then it doesn't seem real. And I'll tell you guys, the realest part, even when we were doing the funeral, it didn't even feel like super real. It felt a little real, right? Where it felt really real was when the funeral director said, like after the funeral's done, it works differently when you have a military funeral. She said, we have to hand over your dad to the barracks. It's like a big place. It's called the barracks, and not just military people from St. Louis can be buried there. If you're in the military, anyone can be buried there. And I'm telling you, Visions and Richie and everybody else watching, it's a very nice place. Like if I was ever in the military, which I'm not, but if I ever was in the military, I would want to be buried where my dad is buried. It is super nice. There's always like maintenance people like trimming the trees, cutting the grass. They none of the grass is dead except for the winter time, like when snow comes in Missouri. But besides that, there's a sprinkler system everywhere. So the grass never dies, right? So they take good care. And then they all have them in lines, like the white tombstones. And there's millions of them in there. And the most surreal part, like when it got really real, and I was like, oh my God, he's gone, was the funeral director said, she goes, now that the funeral's over, she goes, we have to turn your dad over to the barracks. And then they find a plot for him. And they said, there's always new soldiers coming in. So what they do is they rip up the nice green grass. And my dad is in a new row. And they say they wait until that row gets all filled up with people. And my dad's like in the very back because this place is huge. Like we had to have a map to find out where my dad's plot was, right, Visions? So they said there is green grass there. They said there is green grass there, but they said to fill it up, they said they have to rip up the grass. And then they said there's 50 people or 100 people to a row, right? And they said where your dad's going to be put, they said we've already, dug all the holes. And they said we're just waiting for more people to come. They said once that is filled up, then they put green grass like sod over it until the entire row is filled up. So I said, so when will my dad and everything be ready? They said you can go visit him now. So they have a temporary like marker that says John William Fears there. And I said, okay. I said, when will my dad's tombstone, like the nice white one and green grass and all that? They said that will be 30 to 40 days. Because they said in about 40 days, they said your dad's row will be filled up with your dad and the other soldiers. And they said, then we'll make it real nice. They said, then the next row after him, we'll have to tear up that grass and start a new row. They said because so many people are coming in. So when it got really, I'm telling you, when it got really real, Visions, is I went there and the funeral place had already brought some flowers. But because this place is so huge and there's a lot of animals in Missouri. And because my dad was in the new section that was dirt, we saw deer tracks. And not only did the deer eat my dad's flowers, the one that they put the day before, there was other soldiers by my dad. The deer had eaten the flowers. So, and the people told us, they said, that's the only bummer part about it is they said, you'll put flowers there and they'll last all through the morning, all through the afternoon. And they said, but at nighttime, deer and squirrels and other animals come in and they'll eat all the flowers. And so what we did is we had to clean up my dad's grave. So there was all the green vine stuff. So thank God there was a trash can right by it. So me, my brother, my mom, and my brother's wife, we cleaned up all of the green stuff, like all the stems and stuff that was left, put it in the trash can. And then we already had some flowers to put, we had some new flowers to put down. We put tons and tons of new flowers down. And my mom's like, hey, do you have can I just have a moment with dad? I said, yeah, Mom, take as many moments as you want. I said, I'll put the flowers down. I said, I'll go wait by the car. And I said, when you're done, I would like a moment with dad. So my mom, I couldn't hear what my mom said because it's none of my business because I was way away. When she was done, I had to hold my mom for literally 15 minutes. Like she was crying. I started crying. I was like, oh shit, this is it. This is it. And when I went over there and I saw my dad's nameplate, that's when it really sunk in. It sunk in a little bit when I read my speech at my dad's funeral. I'm already starting to tear up a little bit, so give me 1 second. Sorry guys. It's hard to talk about this. It felt a little real at the funeral, but seriously, there's days where I'm like, oh, my dad's gonna call me tomorrow. And it's hard to not think like that. You know what I'm saying? It really is. But whenever I had a moment alone and I was talking with my dad, I literally was like, Dad, whether I live in St. Louis or Florida, I'll continue to make you proud. And I said, I will find a job or 2 jobs, whatever comes first. And I said, I will continue to make the family proud. I said, and I will find a lady and I will have children and be if not as good as dad as you, better, because my dad was pretty epic. So it's going to be hard to top being a better dad than my dad. He was pretty excellent dad. I know some of my fans didn't have the best upbringing because Pretend Story says his family doesn't really care about him, which is very a shame. That's a shame. But my family really cares about me. So I'm blessed to have family like that because not everyone's family is like that. Some families are like, oh yeah, whatever, fuck you. We don't care about you. That's a shame. That's a real shame. So anyway, so I had a moment with my dad, and then on the plane ride back to here, that's when it really sunk in. I was like, damn, the next time I go visit in Missouri, probably the grass will be all trimmed and stuff like that lady said, or it'll be just about time. Because they said in about 30 or 40 days, that's when they lay my dad's white tombstone and they make it look nice and pretty. And it's already nice and pretty there, Visions. It's really nice. They just have to wait until more soldiers. Because they said, we have very limited space. And they said, once this place fills up, we have to find another place to put even more soldiers. And there's millions upon millions of white tombstones in there. When you drive in, they're all in rows. And I was like, I said, I couldn't believe how many soldiers had fallen. I was like, and they had on their tombstones, because there was tombstones around my dad's area, but not in my dad's section yet, because it's a new section. And I was just reading off some of the things as we were walking up to my dad's section. And one guy was from the Air Force, and he had 12 years in the Air Force, and then apparently he got into an accident and then he passed away. And I was like, damn, that's a long time to be in the Air Force. Another guy had served in the Navy. He did 14 years. And I was like, oh shit. So yeah, that's not true. Chicken Wizard says, when I die, my family will throw me into a dumpster. That's not true. Chicken Wizard. I doubt they would do that. Vision says it's okay. No worries. It's hard. It's hard to talk about that. Speaking of ladies, I'm guessing didn't make it to church this morning. I haven't asked her yet. Visions. I have not asked her. I didn't stay. I didn't stay for the I didn't stay for the service this morning because I was sleeping, and they called me around, I don't know, 11. So I got there at the tail end of it because they didn't think I was going to come. And like I said, there's not a lot of young people at my church. There's a lot of older people. I'd say, including me, there's maybe 10 young people. And then there's like some young couples. And they said, hey, we know you weren't coming to church today. And I said, I should have. I said, but I was just so tired. And they said, do you mind coming down anyway at the tail end of it? They said, we need your help to like fold up a bunch of chairs and tables and put them away. And I was like, yeah, sure. Because I just didn't feel like going to the convention. I was tired. And I said, if I go a second time, I said, I'll be tempted to buy another collectible or a prop or something. I really wanted this Visions. They had this fucking, oh my God. One guy, I wouldn't have bought $75. You know, I wouldn't have got it for $75. I would have probably got it for like 40 or 50, like with my negotiation tactics, hopefully lower. But I had already bought the mini Stay Puffs, right? And I was like, oh my God. I said, if I go a second time, there was this, you guys have seen him in the vlogs. You know that prop shop guy? He always wears that blue t-shirt with the red, title on it. It either says prop shop or prop stop. It's prop stop. That guy always has real props and replicas. And he had a full-on suit from that 80s TV show you told me about, Visions, the V one with all like the military cops and the aliens and shit. I've watched one episode and I love it. So he had all that. He had the glasses and he had the hat and he had the gun that the military police wore, and he had the red jumpsuit. And then he had that vampire guy, the superhero, the guy that Wesley Snipes played him. He has all those like swords and katanas that he like throws like at the vampires, and then he has like those liquid silver like daggers. What the hell is his name? Blade. He had Blade's sword for $75. And it wasn't the real one, it was a replica. And I was like, oh God. And he had a stand for it. And I was like, 75? And he's like, well, knowing you, Fears, he goes, you'll probably get me down lower. And I was like, oh yeah, you know I will. And he's like, what about 50? And I was like, well, what about 45? 40-ish? And he's like, we'll talk. He goes, we'll talk tomorrow. So I'm glad I didn't go today because I probably would have spent more money that I don't have. So, yeah. But no, I haven't asked her yet, Visions. Probably next weekend I'll ask her if she wants to go. Fingers crossed, hopefully. But if she doesn't, then that's all right, Clearly, I don't think she's ready to hang out. And I'm not saying anything bad about her. It's just the truth. Every time we've tried to get it together, she's just not ready to hang out. And I respect that. If she's not ready to hang out, like we had a really good conversation, and I appreciate her talking on the phone for 2 hours. A lot of it was about my dad, but the other half was about us, and it was a great conversation. It was amazing. It was probably the best conversation we've had in 2.5 years. So, but if she just wants to be friends and that's it, then I respect that, I should have moved on a long time ago because, she's with some guy, and if that guy makes her happy, great. If it doesn't and she ever wants to come around and, have dinner or coffee, then that's great. So I basically left it in her hands and said, whenever you want to hang out, you let me know. But I'll probably ask her next weekend and we'll see what happens. I'll just be like, hey, you want to grab lunch after church, or do you want to go to church with me? Or I'll say, we don't even have to go to my church. Like, do you want to go to, because she goes to church, and I'll be like, hey, I'll drive up there and I'll go with you to your church, and then we can grab some lunch after we go to your church. And I'll be like, it's up to you. Like, either way, we can either go to my church or we can go to your church. So yeah. Anyway, so there's that. But yeah, so yeah, I still think about my dad, and like, I didn't mean to tear up a little bit, but I appreciate you saying, Visions, it's okay. But I'm trying to be strong, not only for you guys, but for myself and for my mom and my brother. But it's hard sometimes. It's really, 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 really hard. Because like now I just have to remember all the advice my dad gave me. But it was so much better when I could just call and be like, hey, Dad, you got like 5 or 10 minutes to talk? Sure, John. Cool. I'm really in a jam. Hey, what would you do in this situation, Dad? And then my dad would give me such great advice. But like any son, I'm sure you guys have done this. Sometimes you take the advice, sometimes you don't. I always listen to my dad's advice. And then I made the decision, that's pretty good advice. No, I don't want to do that. The only thing I regret is all the stupid fights that we had back in the day. I was such an idiot and an asshole when I was young. I thought I knew fucking everything. But, you know, you live and you learn as people grow up. I had so many fights with my mom and my dad that could have been avoided. Like, I'll be honest, sometimes they started it, but sometimes I started it. And all the times that I started it, I wish I wouldn't have started it. But there it is. Anyway, let's continue on. Oh, give me 1 second. So if you guys have got any questions for the Q&A, you let me know. So far we have, let me count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So far we've got 20. So we've almost got enough for the Q&A. Probably just take a few more, but I got my notepad ready. So if you guys have got any questions that you want to ask Fears for the Q&A, you let me know. All right, let's continue on. So topic number 2, I'm going to tell you guys some amazing Halloween stories. I'll probably start with a younger one. So whenever me and my brother were super young, it doesn't matter if I'm young or if I'm getting older, I love Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. And I'm sure for some of you people out there, it's your favorite holiday. But I can't get enough of Halloween. Bobbing for apples, the Halloween parties, the candy, the costumes. And I haven't got to dress up in costume in quite a while. The last time I was like fully in costume was at a Halloween party in, oh man, let's see. Going back a few years. It was right before I moved out here. Because whenever I went home to visit in 2021, I went to a Halloween party / birthday party that Eric put on for me, but I was not in costume. So the last time I was at a Halloween party in costume, whoa, man, this has been a while. It was like 2015, 2016-ish at my buddy Eric's wife's house. Because back then, they hadn't got married yet. So it was at her house, and that was the year that I was Elmo. And I had to like throw it together real quick. Remember I told you guys this? There was like no costumes left. And I was like, oh, well, shit, what do I do? And Eric was like, Fears, like, sorry to like tell you at the last waking moment, but he goes, I thought me and Aaron were gonna go to a Halloween party. He goes, but we couldn't find any parties to go to. So he said, my girlfriend just said, hey, you know what? Why don't I just throw a party and invite everybody? And Eric was like, okay. He's like, well, now I have to tell everybody at the last waking moment. I didn't really feel like buying a costume. I was like, I'll just stay in. Because I had no idea I was going to be invited to this party. So I was like, I'll just stay in. I'll make some popcorn. I'll just watch a whole bunch of horror movies and then probably go to sleep. So Eric calls me at the last week. He's like, you're more than welcome to come, Fears. And I was like, oh, I definitely want to come. I'm like, I've got nothing to do. And he goes, do you have to work that night? I'm like, nope. I said, surprisingly, it just Halloween landed on my day off. And he's like, oh, sweet. He's like, well, then why don't you come to our Halloween party? And I was like, I said, I'll go. So I go. And then I'm like, well, I need to find a costume. I go to like all the costume shops. They barely have anything left. They've got a couple of like tutus and princess costumes and then a whole bunch of like little kid costumes. I'm like, well, this sucks because obviously I'm not going in a tutu. And I said, Fears may be short, but I'm not going to fit into a little kid costume, nor would I buy a little kid costume to begin with because that would just be weird. So I'm like, well, there's nothing left. And I went up to the lady and said, I need to find a costume. I said, do you have anything left in the back? And she's like, this is the day before Halloween. She's like, let me look. And she literally visioned, I kid you not, she brought out like a little rack and they were all hung up like on hangers. And she goes, this is the only like adult costumes we have left. There was 10 costumes, right? Most of them were girls. She goes, I've got good news and I've got bad news. And I was like, all right, well, tell me the good news. She goes, well, the good news is we have about 10 adult costumes left. I went, okay, great. She goes, the bad news is about 6 of them are girl costumes and only 4 are men's. And I'm like, oh, this sucks. So I said, well, why don't you just bring out the last 4? I said, because obviously I'm not going to wear the girl costumes. And this is literally what was left. Number 1 was Big Bird. Number 2 was Elmo. Number 3 was like a vampire costume. And then the 4th one was, I think, a werewolf costume. And I was like, I'm not going to do a werewolf costume. I'm not going to do a vampire costume. I said, that's not creative. I said, everybody goes to a Halloween party. Those are like 2 classic, like monster ones. I was like, I want to do something different. I said, because whenever I was younger, I said, I've done a vampire tons of times and I've done a werewolf a bunch of times. And I said, I'll get to the party and everyone will be like, oh, Fears, that was not creative at all. And I said, who do I like better, Big Bird or Elmo? And Elmo was it. And I said, do you have any red pants to go with it? And they said, we don't. So I went, oh, screw it. So I said, okay, so this is what I did. I just put on red gloves. I put on the big Elmo, like it literally went around. Like you strapped it here and you had it around. There's a picture of it on my Facebook. So if you guys want to go, you can check it out there. And just fit around my head. And then you wore the red sweater thing. And then I just put on my red Converse shoes. And then I put on blue jeans. And I just went to the convention. I mean, I went to the party. And still had an awesome time. Everybody thought it was hilarious. And what makes this story even more hilarious is my buddy Tom came up to me. And he's like, Fears, I'm fucking losing it over your costume. I'm like, you're losing it over my costume? I'm like, Tom. I'm like, you're dressed up as a country bumpkin hillbilly. He had like these like buck teeth in with a cowboy hat on. And then it was one of those costumes that you kind of like ease into. And he had like, it looked like he was on a horse. And the legs were like dangling down. And it was supposed to be like a country bumpkin hillbilly cowboy on a horse. And I'm like, he goes, Fears, do you think it's hilarious? I'm like, your costume's more hilarious than mine. I'm like, Elmo, yeah, he's a little funny, but I'm like, you've got buck teeth in, all doing that. And he's like, are you losing it, Fears? And I was like, I'm definitely losing it over you, Tom. So we go on with the party. Everything's cool. Everything's chill. All of a sudden, one of Aaron's friends gets there. And Tom's like, Fears, what do you think of her? I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, she is drop dead gorgeous, Tom. And he's like, yeah, I think she's single, Fears. I was like, really? I'm like, okay. So she's dressed up in this like sexy. It was supposed to be like a split between a Disney princess, but a sexy like Disney princess. You know how like when you go to costume shops, like women will dress up as a nurse? Well, they have a normal nurse's outfit, and then they have like a sexy nurse's outfit. Well, she was supposed to be like a sexy Disney princess, and she was sexy. So I was like, ooh, I'm gonna go talk to her. So we start chatting it up. And she's like, who are you friends with at this party? I said, well, Eric's my best friend. I said, and he dates Aaron. And I said, me and Aaron became friends through Eric. I said, but I first became best friends with my buddy Eric. Then I said, I met Trent and Tommy, and Trent was there. He was making me lose it. He was dressed up as a wrestler or something like that. And she's like, oh, so you guys were all kind of friends. I said, yeah. I said, how long have you been Aaron's friend? She's like, we worked together maybe a couple of months, like maybe 4 or 5 months. And I was like, okay. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, a couple means 2 months. But, you know, I didn't want to say that to her. She's like, yeah, you know, a couple of months, 4 or 5. And I was 4 or 5 months. I went, right on. That's cool. So I give her my number. I said, listen, I said, you seem great. I would love to hang out. And she's like, oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. I guess she didn't have the heart to tell me no. She took my number, right, Visions? A couple weeks go by, nothing. And I said, hey, Aaron, I said, are you still friends with that one girl? She goes, oh, yeah. She was like, we work together. I said, well, I gave her my number. And she's like, well, John, she's like, did you get her number? I said, no, I didn't get her number. I said, I wish I would have. And he goes, just give her some time. She'll call you. Never once did she call me. So apparently she wasn't interested. I guess she just wanted to be friends. But, man, she was so cute. But apparently she wasn't interested in. Let's see. Can you dress up like Randy and do a stream as him? Oh, that would be hilarious. I mean, there's nothing much to Randy. Randy, you got some glasses. I don't have Randy's glasses, though, Visions. I've got my glasses. And then Randy's got curly hair, so maybe I could go to like Halloween. I could go to the Halloween store and get like a curly wig, put on my glasses, and then just put on like a buttoned-up red shirt because Randy wears a lot of buttoned-up red shirts. And then, I could do that. Vision says when she retells this story to her friends, she probably says you were dressed up as sexy Elmo. I would hope so. Chicken Wizard, I can't believe this. He says he's never been to a Halloween party. Come on. Well, how old are you, Chicken Wizard? Are you in your 20s, 30s? Surely one of your family members or a friend, or if you go to church. My church has even thrown Halloween parties. Well, they don't call it a Halloween party. They call it a fall harvest party because Halloween is a pagan holiday. So is Christmas. Christmas is a pagan holiday. So, yeah. So that story started off great, ended horribly because I'm like, we were really chatting it up. I thought I may have a chance with this girl. Nope. 0. She didn't call me once. And I didn't have her number. And I never bumped into her since. This was back in like 2015, 2016, right when the community first met Fears. Right when the community first met me. So here's another one. Here's another Halloween kind of funny story. I'm in film school, right? And my friend, I don't want to give her name out because she's on my Facebook, and if I say her name, I'm not saying the trolls will do anything. I just don't want anyone tormenting my friends. She goes, "Hey, Fears." She goes, "Your birthday is near Halloween, right?" I said I was supposed to be born on Halloween, but I came 3 days before. So my birthday is October 28th, but I was supposed to be born on October 31st. I just came early. So she's like, "Well, why don't we mix your birthday with my big Halloween party?" I went, "Okay." And she goes, "You can dress up, you cannot dress up." I said, "I'll throw something together." So she's like, "Well, bring an extra set of clothes because if you get sick and tired of wearing your costume, then you can just go into my bathroom and change into your normal clothes." I was like, "You know what? That's actually a good idea." So I brought normal clothes and then I brought my costume. And I think I was a mummy. That year. So we're partying. She's got people in her house, and she was married. She was married. Now she's not married, but in college she was married. She's got people going nuts in her backyard, nuts inside her house. There was people everywhere. And so Fears got drunk. We're celebrating my birthday. We're celebrating Halloween. And we had it on October 31st. And this was I think I've told you half of this story. This was the story that I said someone offered me cocaine. And I was like, fuck that noise. No way. But I was so drunk, I accidentally hit their tray. They had lines of cocaine on a tray. And whenever Fears gets super wasted, I like to go explore. So I'm walking around like, "Hey, all right, what's going on, guys? All right, yeah." And they had this door closed. And I guess my friend didn't know this was going on because I told her. And she goes, "Oh, if I would have known about that, Fears," she's like, "I would have told those people to get out of here." Because she goes, "I don't have drugs in my house." But by that time, she was drunk and she was hanging all over her husband, and I was drunk and I was trying to find some ladies to party with, and there was tons of ladies there. Anyway, so I was like, "Hey, what's this door closed?" I open this door. They're like, "Fears, get in here, shut the damn door." So I was like, "Okay." So I come in and they're like, "Don't open that door." And I said, "Well, why?" And they said, "This is why." And Visions, there was a metal tray with 10 white lines on it, right? and they had it on the bed. They're like, hey, you want some? And I went, fuck no, I don't want it. And when I went like that, I said, fuck no. The tray went up in the air and all that white powder hit the ground. This is how obsessed they were. They're like, Fears, what the hell? And I was like, oh, sorry. They're like, get out of here, Fears. So I open the door. As I'm shutting the door, I see each one of them get on their hands and knees, and they're sniffing the cocaine off the floor. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you guys got some problems. But that's how much they wanted it. And they're like, that's $100 worth of cocaine, Fears. And I was like, sorry, but I was like wasted. So I was like, I don't care. And I really didn't want any. I was like, fuck no, I don't want any. And when I went like that, that's when I accidentally hit the tray. Right? So as I'm closing the door, they're like, what? They're like, well, now we got to get on our hands and knees. And I'm like this, just shaking my head like, Jesus Christ. Then the one guy's all like that off the floor. He looks up at me and he's like, what, Fears, what? And he's got like white powder right here. I go, what do you mean what? I'm like, you've got your nose on the floor. He's like, well, yeah. He's like, you hit the tray out. And I remember, it's clear as day visions. Even though I was drunk, I remember saying this. I'm like, you got some serious issues, buddy. And I just closed the door. And it was one of those things, it was like a movie moment. You know, like when people pause to like think about what just happened. I closed the door, and I've had a bunch of movie moments in my life. I close the door, I just stand there in the hallway like this, and I go, what the fuck? And then I took off walking, because I was just like, I would never be that desperate to be like, oh my God, it's on the floor. I got to get down on my hands and knees. So anyway, so there's that, right? So I keep getting more drunk and more drunk. All of a sudden, things are starting to become blurry, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I didn't know I was this drunk. So, well, Vision says, well, yeah, Fears. Well, I've never been in that situation. I would never put myself in that situation. They offered, but I was like, hell no. I'm like, you guys are idiots. And people started like showing up that were not my friend's friend. Like, she had a big like blowout party. It was supposed to be like 100 of her friends. By the time the party ended, there was like a good 300 people there. And I went up to her and I was like, I think things are starting to get out of control. She goes, yeah. She goes, I don't know where all these new people are coming from. I said, probably a friend invited a friend invited another friend. She goes, yeah, you're probably right, Fears. And I said, well, you don't want them to destroy. I said, you don't want you and your husband's house to be destroyed. She goes, oh, she's like, I don't think anything will get destroyed. She goes, we'll have to clean up in the morning once we get up. And I'm looking around. I'm like, there's tons of red cups everywhere. I said, people have spilled drinks. There's food on the floor. I said, you guys are going to have a hell of a cleanup. She goes, yeah. She goes, we already knew that going in. But she goes, what do you think of the party so far? And I was like, well, should I tell her about the cocaine incident? I said, yeah. I said, so far, I said, it's pretty good. I said, I do have some bad news, though. I would have been a shitty friend if I wouldn't have told her. I said, I think they're gone now, but I said, someone was in your bedroom. And I said, I didn't mean to go exploring. I told my friend, I said, I'm kind of drunk. She's like, Fears, you're wasted. And I was like, all right. I said, I'm wasted. I said, but at the time I was drunk. And she goes, did you go exploring? And I was like, I did go exploring. And she's like, where did you end up? I said, well, I opened your bedroom door and there was people. I said, somebody went into your kitchen and grabbed like a metal like cookie tray. And she goes, were they doing drugs in there? I said, they were definitely doing drugs in there. And she's like, did you stop them? I said, kind of. I said, they offered me some. And I said, hell no, like that. And I accidentally hit the tray out of their hand. She goes, oh my God. She goes, show me. So we went into her bedroom and there was just particles of stuff left on the floor. And she's like, all right. She's like, I'll clean this up. She's like, don't worry, Fears. And I said, I guess they left after they got their like cocaine binge on, you know? And she's like, yeah, I guess they're gone. And she's like, I wish you would have told me. I said, well, I kept forgetting because I was drunk. But I said, eventually I told you. She's like, you're good. She goes, I'm not mad at you, Fears. She goes, I'm mad at the idiots that were doing cocaine in me and my husband's bedroom. I was like, I would be mad too. So she's like, it's fine. She's like, I'll clean this up. And so she cleaned it all up, threw it all down the toilet. And then she's like, there's only another hour or two left of the party. She's like, you're not driving home. I said, I'm definitely not driving home. I said, I'm wasted. She's like, well, put your keys in this little bowl and I'll keep them safe and sound in my bedroom. I said, okay. I put the keys in. I pass out, right? I pass out on the couch. I wake up like an hour later. The party's still going on. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, it's like 2 a.m. So it's already November 1st because my friend said she said once Halloween is over, once it hits 12, she goes, I'm kicking everybody out. Apparently she got more drunk, or she was trying to kick them out. By 3 o'clock, that's when she said, all right, everybody get the fuck out, you know? But I wake up around 1:30ish. Fear starts exploring again. And I'm like, where's my friend? So she had made a bonfire out in her backyard. And she's like, hey, Fears. She's like, I was gonna wake you and say, hey, come hang out by the bonfire, but she's like, you looked like you were passed out. I said, oh, I was. I said, trust me. She's like, where'd you pass out at? And I said, oh, there was multiple places. She goes, well, first I saw you pass out on my bed. And she goes, then you woke up and you walked over to the couch and then passed out again. I said, I don't remember waking up. I said, I remember passing out and that's it. She's like, yeah. She's like, you just woke up for like 2 minutes and like walked over to the couch. I went, okay. And then she's like, did you get some sleep? I said, yeah, I got some. And so already Fears in his younger years was taking those naps. She's like, well, come. She's like, come sit by me. She's like, you want some food? I'm like, I actually am hungry. She had made some hot dogs and some hamburgers. So I was chowing down. She's like, are you going to try and sober up? I said, oh, no. I said, I'll just stay here. I said, I could try, but I said, I guarantee it probably would not. I drank a lot. I had like 20 shots, 16 beers. I was going nuts that night. I mean, it was bad, but I was having fun. This is the story I told you guys where I woke up on the couch next to that random girl, you know, and I was like, did we have sex? That part's coming. That's the other half of the story. I'm telling you guys the other half of the story. So we're hanging out by the there's some pictures of this party on my Facebook. So you guys know I'm not lying. There's one picture on my Facebook where my friend she's holding one guy's leg, I'm holding the other guy's leg. So he's upside down and he's doing a keg. He's doing a kegger and he's like trying to, you know, go like that. So I only took a couple of pictures of that night and I'm all like that. I'm holding his leg with a thumbs up. It's one of the most classic college photos I have. I'm all like that, holding his leg up. He's down. He's like binging. He's binging on the booze, doing a keg stand. That's what it was. That's what it was called. He was doing a keg stand. And this guy was like a pro champion. And I said, you had enough down there? And he's like, Fears. He's like, hold me up. And he was doing that keg stand for at least a good 2 minutes. And I thought, well, at some time he's going to have to take a breath. He was sucking on that thing, like drinking the booze for 2 whole minutes. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, just don't choke on the booze. And he's like, I got it, Fears. I'm good. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, you chug that booze like a champ. Go for it. So, and then that's when things kind of start dwindling away. After that, I went up to my friend, said, I think I'm done for the night. And she's like, Fears, you look annihilated. And I said, I'm starting to sober up. I started getting like hangover. And I said, I'm annihilated, not by booze anymore. I said, I'm annihilated by like the tiredness is coming over me. She's like, just go crash on the couch. She's like, or just go crash like in my bedroom, like on the floor. She goes, I got a sleeping bag in my closet. And I said, okay. So I didn't even make it to her bedroom to grab the sleeping bag. I just was like, all right, couch, peace, deuce, I'm out. Fell asleep. I wake up. That girl was beside me, and I'm like this. It was a classic college movie vision. I kid you not. I'm not making this up. I just look over and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, who is this? I have no idea who this is. Right? And then she wakes up, looks at me, and she goes, good morning, Joseph. And I'm like, I'm not Joseph. She's like, your name starts with a J. I'm like, can you guess it? Joey, Joseph. I'm like, you're not even close. And then she's like, Jonathan? I'm like, oh, you're getting closer. I said, my name's not Jonathan. I said, it's got J-O in the title. And then she's like, John? I said, there you go. After 7 guesses. And I was like, I looked at her and said, I know when I fell asleep, I was on the couch alone. I said, did we have sex or make out? Because I'm a gentleman. I was like, if I did this, I'm going to have to like apologize to her. Because I had no idea who she was. And she's like, no, we didn't have sex. She was like, I just got really tired and I saw there was some room on the couch. So I just kind of scooted you over to the left and then I like got behind you. And I was like, did we cuddle or anything? She goes, I cuddled you for like 15 minutes and then I fell asleep. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go. I'll see you later. I gather all my things up. I went to their bedroom because that's where I had a bag with all my costume in it. So I grabbed my costume, grabbed the bag, knock on their bedroom door. They're already awake. My friends. They're cleaning up their bedroom because someone trashed it. And they're like, hey, Fierce, you taking off? I said, I'm definitely taking off. And I said, what time is it? She's like, oh, you slept for a while. She goes, it's 10:45 in the morning. I went, oh, okay. I said, well, I'm going to head on home. I said, hellacious party. And they're like, wasn't it fun? I said, well, it was fun, but I said, I feel bad that some people trashed your house. She went, oh, Fears, that just happens with every college party. And she goes, we knew it going in. I said, yeah, but I said, you probably didn't want people doing drugs in your house. She goes, yeah. She goes, that I kind of got pissed off about. But she's like, I can't help it if people invite other people. And she goes, I invited all my friends that just like to drink. I said, yeah, you're right. I said, it was probably one friend, invited another friend. I said, because there was some people there I didn't even know. She goes, well, Fears. She goes, there was people I didn't know there either. I said, well, there you go. Yeah, right, Visions. Vision says, John, you were raped. I hope not. I guarantee you I was not raped. Anyway, Joy Boy says happy Sunday. So that's a funny Halloween story. Another one is when me and my brother were real young. We lived in this big subdivision in O'Fallon, Missouri. And there's no way that you can hit every single house. Because some houses on Halloween, if their light is on, then it's free game to like knock on their door, right? If their light's off, then you know they're either not home or they're not going to celebrate Halloween and give you candy. But me and my brother, we were determined to hit every single house. There's like 10,000 houses in this massive subdivision. We maybe got to 1,000 houses, maybe 2,000, maybe. Because me and my brother talk about it all this time. We bought 2 costumes each, and we just kept interchanging the costumes. As soon as our bags got filled up, we remembered what house we left off on, came back to our house, and we were on our bikes. So we would just ride up to a house, get off the bike, get the candy, get back on the bike, go to the next house. Because there was a little space in between each houses. And we started getting tired. So by the 3rd haul, I said, you still game? My brother's like, oh yeah, we're going to hit every house. We made a fair dent, but we did not hit every house. Between me and my brother, we had 8 hauls of candy. So a pillowcase is like from about that tall and that wide, right? So we had shitloads of candy. That candy lasted us all the way from like October all the way to like next April. It was ridiculous. So that's one of my favorite Halloweens because me and my brother worked as a team, and he's like, all right, he goes, they'll never know. He's like, we'll just take this haul, we'll dump all the candy out like on our bed, we'll throw on a new mask, and we'll throw on a new costume, and we'll just go do another subdivision. And I said, well, you have to remember, I said, we've already done that subdivision, now we need to go to the next one, because we were determined to get every single house. My brother's like, well, what happens if they're like, their lights off? And this is hilarious, young fears. I said, we'll just annoy them until they turn on their lights. So I'm just banging on their door, like gung 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 gung, and then you hear people in their house like the lights off, and I'm like, I don't care, give me some fucking candy. And that's what I'm thinking as a young like 10-year-old. I'm like, give me some fucking candy. So I'm knocking. All of a sudden, this guy comes out, and he's like, the light's off. And I was like, trick or treat. And then he's like, all right, fine. And the next thing I know, you just hear him say, Dolores, get some candy. And then she's in the background. You can hear, I thought we weren't doing it. And he's like, there's this kid here, and he won't leave. And he's like, I don't want to disappoint him. She's like, all right, hang on. So then I guess her name was Dolores. She comes up, and she's like, you could tell that she's mad. She's like, hi, happy Halloween. Here's a Snickers. Have a nice night. And I went, you too, ma'am. And I look at my brother. I'm like, see, if you annoy him enough, they'll give you some candy. My brother's like, that's amazing. So I said, all right, so that's what we're going to have to do. So we just kept, banging on people's doors until either we figured out that they weren't home or until they opened that damn door. My brother's like 8, I'm 10, and we got about 1,000 or 2,000 houses. because there's no way that we could hit like it was a massive living community, but they had like 9 or 10 like individual like subdivisions, and each subdivision had like 1,000 houses in it, and we hit 2 subdivisions, so it was around 1,000 or 1,500, because I don't even know. This is going back a few years. I don't even know if we got the entire second subdivision done. We may have gotten like 1 subdivision done and then a half. But like I said, we had enough candy all like from October all the way till next April. It was ridiculous. So that Halloween is one of my favorite Halloweens. All right, now we're getting into like my teen years, like around 20 years old, 21. Me, Eric, Tommy, Jesse, Trent. Trent had a girlfriend at the time. Eric was still dating Aaron. We all go out. I'm not saying downtown St. Louis isn't safe. Like, I remember, like, Carrie making fun of me, like, oh, John was scared whenever we went down to downtown. It's downtown St. Louis. There's crime there. A year ago, someone got killed from leaving a St. Louis Cardinals game. Like, they were, like, him and his wife were going to, I'm sorry, he didn't die, but he got shot. So he almost died. They were going to their car and someone mugged them. And I don't know why the guy just didn't give his money to the guy, but I guess it was because he was with his girlfriend. He was trying to save himself, and his girlfriend, and he punched one of the guys or something on the news. One guy ran away, and the other guy, he got the gun knocked out of his hand or whatever. And then when he hit the ground, he picked up the gun and shot the guy like in the side here, or like up here somewhere. And then he thought he killed the guy, and he took the money and then took off. And then the woman was like, oh my God. And then they called the cops, and thank God the guy is still alive. So I always hated Carrie for like saying that Fears is scared. Any city, any major city, I wasn't scared. I was being conscious and being careful and being safety, because there's parts of downtown St. Louis that are nice, and there's some parts of downtown St. Louis that are horrible. Why do you think they filmed Escape from New York there? Back in the 80s, it was a complete shithole down in downtown St. Louis. They've made it look a lot nicer, but there's still areas down there that are bad. And there's bad people out there. So, Carrie, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying I was never scared of downtown St. Louis. I was just very cautious. Very cautious. So we're down there. So it's me, Eric, Tommy, Jesse, Trent's girlfriend, which I don't recall her name, because he ended up marrying somebody else, and the girlfriend that he was with, I guess it just didn't work out. Eric and Aaron, and this was before they got married. We love haunted houses. Our group of friends. I love haunted houses anyway to begin with, and they have some of the best haunted houses down in downtown St. Louis. Oh my God. There's this one called Creepy World. There's like Creepy World is one big haunted house, and then you go through that haunted house, and then after you get through that haunted house, then there's like 13 like little mini haunted houses in the back of the haunted house. So you basically get 14 haunted houses for one price, right? So you have a major one, and then you go through it, and then in the back, you go out the back door, and there's like 13 like little mini houses like in a circle. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then there's this other big one called the Darkness, and the Darkness is, if not the biggest one in the Midwest, the biggest in the Midwest. And they have like a little gift shop that you can like buy like Halloween stuff at the end of the haunted house. And this just shows you how hilarious Fears was and how much I was sheltered as a kid. I was not trying to be rude to this guy. There was this guy, he was dressed up as Jason Voorhees. The guy was black. I'm not racist whatsoever. So me and Eric, we're talking about Halloween costumes, and he's like, Fears, what's your favorite like Jason Voorhees? And I was like, oh, I said it's definitely a split between Halloween 3 when he gets his mask and when he goes to Manhattan and he like walks down the street and then he kicks that guy's stereo and he's like, you're dead meat, slime ball. And then Jason shows his face and the guy's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's cool, man. It's cool. So that guy dressed up as Jason, the black guy, he comes up, he goes, hey man, I heard you were talking about Jason. I said, oh yeah. I said, I love Jason Voorhees. And he's all like, and I didn't mean for this to happen. I guess the guy just took it wrong. And me and Eric had to calm this guy down. And I said, I love Jason. He goes, is it your favorite character? And I said, no, not really. Said, why, man? Why? And he got real defensive. I guess because he put a lot of work into his costume. And I said, because he isn't my favorite. I said, and he was like, well, what's your favorite? And I was like, Michael Myers. Said, man, Michael Myers sucks. And I was like, oh, I'm like, well, to each their own, buddy. I'm like, I like Michael Myers. And he goes, yeah, teach your own. So he goes off. I look at Eric. I'm like, what the fuck was all that about? And he's like, apparently he doesn't like Michael Myers, Fears. I said, apparently not. So we're waiting in line to go in. And he's like the ticket booth guy standing there. And then there's this other guy standing right beside him. And this guy, I don't know what he was dressed up like, but he made his own little character. Like he put gel in his hair, visions, spiked up his hair. He put like white face paint on with like red underneath his eyes. And he was supposed to, and he had like this shirt that said like psych ward on it. So apparently he was trying to be like a psycho / escape mental patient. And he talked like really high voice. I don't think this was his real voice. It was just part of his character. Because whenever you do a haunted house, they just stay in character. So this guy's like, hello, welcome to the darkness, like all that. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on, buddy? And he's like, enter at your own risk. And so we're in line, though. There's so many people. And I look at Eric. I'm like, well, we're not going to enter at our own risk, buddy, until like an hour later. He goes, oh, yeah, Fears. He goes, it's going to be a while before we go in. So I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, it's going to take a minute. I'm like, it's going to definitely take a minute. So we're still waiting. We're waiting around. So we're making chit chat with the guy with the hockey mask on. And I go up to him. I go, man, I'm like, those hockey masks probably get really hot. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, I have to take breaks. And I was like, I would assume. We started talking about Jason again. And so I'm like, what's your favorite? He's like, oh, he's like, I got a few. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what's your all-time like favorite one? And he goes, probably number one. I said, that one is a good one. And this is where he got really mad. I said, yeah, but I said, that one really doesn't count. I said, because Jason wasn't in that. I said, Jason is in it, but he's not the killer. You just see like 30 seconds of him drowning. And I guess he didn't like that I'm a big movie buff. And he goes, you're correcting me a lot. And this is like downtown St. Louis. And I'm just telling the truth. I'm like, he's not in it a lot. He's in it for 10, 20 seconds, and he's not the murderer. It's his mom. And he's like, well, okay, Mr. Smarty Pants. What does he say? He said something. This is going back a few years. I'm trying to remember. He goes, when does he become Jason? I'm like, in number 2. And he's like, no, that's not right. And I'm thinking, yeah, it is. I'm like, he just doesn't have the hockey mask yet. He's got the potato sack thing. And he even said that. He goes, he's not technically Jason until part 3. I'm like, he's Jason, dude. And Eric kind of whispers ear. He goes, Fears, just let it drop. He goes, this guy apparently has got an attitude problem. And I went, okay, so I'll drop it. And apparently somebody else heard our conversation. We're about to go in. I did not say this. Someone in front of us said it, but I guess the guy thought it was our party. Someone in front of us said, all right, yeah, see you later, Black Jason. And I was like, oh, shit. He turns around, and he's like, what'd you say, you motherfucker? And I'm like, I didn't say that. And he goes, what did your friends say? And I went, my friends didn't say that. I'm like, it's the party in front of us. And he's like, I'm seriously going to fuck you guys up. So Eric and Trent have to step in and go, we didn't say it, buddy. He goes, and my friend John didn't say it. He goes, it was the people that already went in. And I guess they were like trying to be like smart asses or whatever. So then we calm him down. That psych ward guy thought we said it too. And I'm like, we didn't say that, sir. So then he looks at me and looks at Trent and Eric and goes, well, now that you've acted like assholes, you can go on in. And Trent's like, we didn't say it, dude. Or something like that. And he's like, whatever, you guys go in. And we didn't say anything. So we go in. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, I just want to go to a haunted house. Leave me alone. So it was like a catastrophic chaos before we even went in. Once we get in, we have a lot of fun. And Eric's like, Fears, how did that go down? I said, I don't know, man. I said, I was trying to have a friendly conversation with the guy about Jason Voorhees and movies. Apparently he didn't like that I'm a super movie buff guy. I said, then some other idiot from another party says, hey, what he said. And then that guy thought it was us. And he's like, crazy night, right, Fears? And I look at Eric and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, to say the least, buddy. I'm like, but let's just enjoy the haunted house. We get in there. And this is when Fears was like super young. So I was trying to be Mr. Hot Shit with my friends. I'm like, they're not going to scare me, Eric. And he's like, yeah, whatever, Fears. I said, I never get scared. I said, it's just that, like when you jump. And they're like, Fears, they'll probably get you at least once. So I said, I was so like determined that I was going to get scared. I said, I'll go first. I'll take all the little jump scares. A few times I went like this, but they really hadn't gotten me super scared. So it was around my birthday. So I don't remember who planned it, but someone planned one of my friends went to the manager and said, can you just scare the living bejesus out of our friend Fears? So we're going through. I opened up these double doors, and like the theme of the haunted house was like a psych ward / hospital. There's this guy laying on a table, and it looks like a fake dummy. It looks like a fake dummy. It's really a guy with a bunch of like prosthetics on. He's got his chest opened, and I'm like, hey guys, check this out. I put my hand in his open chest, and I started wiggling my fingers like, ooh, bloody guts. Yeah, da-da-da-da. All of a sudden, his hand comes up, grabs my hand, and says, leave my stomach alone. I'm like, oh, shit, like that. And I jump literally through the air, and I fall into Eric's like lap. Like I jumped through the air, and he's like, ha ha ha, got you, Fears. And I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. And he's like, Fears. He goes, you look pretty scared there. And I said, all right. I said, I'll give you that one. I said, I didn't know that guy was a real guy on the table. I said, that one got me. It was even worse because on this side, there's 2 double doors. They had planned another scare, right? So once I calmed down, I'm like, Eric, I'm like, you got me. And I'm like, was this planned? He goes, oh, Fears, this was planned. He goes, we talked to the manager. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, yeah, you got me good, buddy. You got me good. So we're about to go to the next area. And I think it's over. We're about to go to the next area of the haunted house. All of a sudden, this guy with a black mask and a black like leather, like, like how Leatherface has got that that apron on. He's got a black mask on, kind of like Mankind, like a Mankind mask, from that wrestling guy. He's got a Mankind black mask on, Visions, with a black apron. Comes flying through these double doors like this with a chainsaw, and he's revving it. I am scared of I'm like, oh, fuck me, oh, shit. And I run right to the next area. All my friends are laughing their ass off. The guy with the chainsaw comes out of character, starts laughing, says, hey, Fear, come back, man, come back. I come back in, and he goes, dude, I thought you were the Halloween master. Takes off the mask. He shakes my hand. I said, I thought I was the Halloween master. I said, between the guy on the table and you with the chainsaw, I said, you guys got me good. And he's like, well, maybe you shouldn't shit talk next time, with your friends. I said, I won't. I said, I won't ever. So that one was pretty good. That one was pretty scary. And then the last Halloween story I want to talk about before I go to the next topic, guys. I'm with my friends again. Another Halloween. And this one was a boogeyman theme. So it had all the classic boogeyman in it. Leatherface, Freddy, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, the Leprechaun guy was in there, Ghostface, I think Hellraiser. It's all the classic ones, right? It is in complete darkness. And then sometimes, like when they turn the lights on, then you'll see like Jason standing like 2 inches from your face. So we're walking through and we're trying to feel around. I'm like, it's pitch black, guys. Of course, I'm in the back because no one wanted to be in the front. I said, well, somebody's got to, it's all of us in a line. I said, someone's got to take up the reins in the back and someone has to lead. So finally, my buddy Tommy's like, you guys are scaredy cats. He goes, I'll just be the front. And he goes, hey, Fierce, you want to bring up the rear? And I'm like, sure. Because being in the back sucks. Because what if one of those guys is walking right behind you and like grabs you on the shoulder or some shit? So I'm like this, kind of looking around, but I can't see shit. We're all in darkness, and I'm just looking. And you have to put your hand on someone's shoulder because if you don't, you'll get lost. So everyone's got their hands on each other's shoulder, like trying to wiggle through this. All of a sudden, I see the person in front of me. They just run out, I guess, because they were so scared, and they found the exit. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, now I'm in here alone. So I don't really remember much, but somehow, some way, I got separated from Eric, Tommy, Trent, Trent's girlfriend, Eric's girlfriend. Oh, well, now it's his wife. And I'm like, where the hell did these guys go? So I'm like, all right, Fierce. I'm like, just start feeling on the walls because that's how you do it. If it's in pitch blackness, and they kept turning the lights on and off because that was the scare factor. You'll be feeling on the wall, all of a sudden the light goes on, and Jason's like right there in your face, right? So I'm laughing and being scared at the same time. I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. And I was like, woo. I'm like, hey, Michael, so I just decided to turn it into one big joke, right? I'm like, Michael Myers, come get me. Woo. And they're all laughing. And some of the people in there are laughing. You can hear them laughing in the background. So I start feeling on the walls, and I'm making progress. And I'm like, I think I'm almost out of this haunted house. All of a sudden, the lights come on. Michael's right there in my face. And I just go, oh, shit. And he just pulls up the knife like this. And I'm like, oh, my God. And all of a sudden, the lights turn off. And then I start feeling in front of me, he's already gone. And I'm like, oh, shit. I said, you know what? I said, I'll be even more hilarious. I said, I'll just sit down like this. So I sat down on the floor like Indian style. And I went like this, like this. So the next time the lights would come on, he would see me sitting Indian style. Lights come on, he's like this, looking down, and I'm like, oh, hey there, buddy, what's going on? Like that. And then I just kept the bung face on for 2 minutes, Vision. I'm all like, like that for 2 whole minutes. And Michael is like this with a knife, just looking down at me. So we're staring at each other. The lights go off. I get up. I feel around. He's already gone. I was in there for not 1 hour, but 2 hours. My buddies are all outside waiting for me. I finally make it out, and they're like, Fierce, where were you? I said, well, what happened to you guys? They said, we went ahead, and they said, we thought your arm was still on us. I said, it was. I said, you guys must have walked a little bit too fast, and my arm came off of your shoulder because Trent was in front of me. And he goes, well, we tried to look for you, Fierce. I said, oh, well, I said, it doesn't matter anyway. I said, because I said, once we got separated, I said, all hell broke loose and it was hilarious. And they're like, well, what happened? I said, me and Michael Myers had a standoff. And they're like, who won? I said, I won, Fierce. I said, I won, Trent. I said, because I just looked up at him and was like, boom. And I just stared at him for like a whole 2 minutes. And he's like, did he walk away, Fierce? I said, yep. I said, he walked away. I said, the lights went off. I got up. I kind of felt around. He was not in the area where he was. I said, and then I made out, and they're like, Fierce, you're hilarious. They said, if anyone would have a standoff with Michael, it would be you. I said, oh, it happened. I said, it happened. I said, if there was a standoff, and it was great. It was great. Pretty funny stuff. Anyway, guys, let's see here. Those are all the Halloween stories I have. I'm going to end with the Dead End Drive-In review. So, Visions did not tell me about this. Joy Boy says, lucky you knew karate. Oh, I knew karate. I didn't have to use it, Joy Boy, but I had that karate skills. So, Visions did not tell me about this movie until after I bought it. So, last time I was in town, I'm just walking through V-Stock, and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks hilarious. I grab it. I turn the back DVD cover. It kind of reminds me of Escape from New York, one of my favorite films, because they filmed it in St. Louis, and Kurt Russell is the man. He's like a man's man, epic actor, takes place in the future and shit. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to get Escape from New York. This Dead End Drive-In kind of reminded me of the same thing. It takes place in a futuristic, like 1995. All hell is broke loose. It's like 1995 in Australia. It's all Australian actors. I had never seen what Australia looked like in the 80s. And they filmed it around all these massive industrial buildings. So there's all these pipes everywhere and all this stuff. Their future is like even worse than Escape from New York's future. There is trash, garbage, just shit everywhere. Crime is all over the streets. Everybody's unemployed except for like the main character. And one night he just decides to take his lady out, and he doesn't know that they've turned like the drive-in movie theater into a prison to like keep all of the unwanted, unruly, like useless people. But he's not useless. He's got a job. He's trying to make it. He's got a lady. He works with his dad at like their towing company, right? His mom and dad have no idea that he took his dad's old 1950s like Chevy out, or I think it was a Chevy, right, Visions? I can't remember. It's like a red 1950s Chevy, something like that. They watch the movie. They're about to leave. All of a sudden, the cops are in there, take 2 wheels off of his Chevy, so he's stuck. And then slowly but surely, he starts to realize, oh man, I'm not ever getting out of here. Because he looks on the side of the wall, and on the walls, above the walls, they've got barbed wire, and then it's electric barbed wire. And then they built up like the walls around the movie theater. And he's like, but see, like they kind of hide it. Like when you drive in this movie, like when you drive into the drive-in, it looks like a normal drive-in, like on the outskirts. But then once you get in, he's like, okay. He's like, well, maybe they have barbed wire there because they don't want anyone to get into the drive-in. They watch the movie, everything's cool. And then he goes, reports it to the manager and said, hey, someone stole like my tires, you know? The guy's like, well, he's like, you're more than welcome to stay here for the night. And he's like, okay. He's like, all right. Next morning, the manager, which is kind of like, I guess, the warden of the prison, says, look, you're not getting it. You're not ever getting out of here. And the guy's like, yeah, I am. He's like, we're leaving. He's like, I'm taking my girlfriend with me. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, and then the warden's like, yeah, we'll soon see about that. So basically, the whole movie is him trying to figure out a way to get out of this movie theater like prison. I'm like, all right, this is getting good. And it's like total 80s. There's tons of death metal in it, punk rock people. There's graffiti everywhere. It's going nuts. Like I said, their future is 10 times worse than Escape from New York. Definitely, for sure. But Visions, I got to say, if I had to grade it, it wasn't a total 10. I'd give it a solid 8. It is very outdated. Very outdated. But it still holds up kind of a little bit. But I wish the ending would have been a little bit better. The ending, basically, I don't think you guys will care that I tell you guys the ending because it's so old. Basically, he finds a car. He kills the manager / warden of the theater, takes one of the cop cars, kills a cop, but they're like crooked cops, so they're not really like good cops. Kills the cop, takes his car, and he makes someone had made this ramp because they were thinking like, well, what if we just ramp over the door to the drive-in? So they're trying to figure out. So he's like, no one has tested this ramp. He goes, well, fuck it. I got a car now. I'll try it. He backs up the police car, guns it like 80 miles an hour, hits the ramp, goes way over, right through the theater side, hops over to the other side. And that part I love. The only part I didn't like about it is that his girlfriend gives up. She's like, we're never getting out of this prison. And he's like, yeah, we are. We're getting out right now. He's like, come with me. And she's like, I'm not going to come with you. She goes, I've already accepted my fate. So I didn't like that she gave up. So she's still in the prison. And he's like, all right. He's like, I'm getting out of here, whatever. And he's like, take care of yourself. So it sucks that he didn't like save her, but he saves himself, hits the ramp, goes flying over the theater. And then the ending is you just see him like laughing, like, yeah, I did it. And then you just see him drive off into the night, and then the credits roll. So the ending was kind of weak sauce, but the whole movie is pretty good. I definitely recommended it. If you like Escape from New York, you'll like Dead End Drive-In. Pretty good. So wasn't a solid 10 Visions. Like I said, about an 8.5. And the only reason why I didn't give it a perfect 10 was the ending was kind of, not all the way, but kind of weak sauce. But the rest of the film, I loved. Loved it. I would totally watch again. Probably on October 31st, I will watch it again. So to end this, I'm kind of doing what Jason did. I'm doing the 31 days of horror, watching a horror movie every single day. So last night, I finished with Dead End Drive-In. Before I went to bed, I watched 2 Halloween episodes of MacGyver. There's 2 Halloween episodes. So I was like, that kind of counts. Watch the Halloween episodes of MacGyver. Tonight, I'm going to watch, I haven't decided. I thought about 1408, with John Cusack. That's a great film. 1408. Or I thought about watching Friday the 13th Part 1. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I'm calling it a night, guys, because I got make dinner. I'm going to apply to some more jobs, and then I'm going to work on some editing projects that I told you guys I need to get up. And you guys know which editing project I'm talking about. I'm talking about some sleepaway campage. So I need to skedaddle. But before I go, if you guys have got any questions, let me know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. What up, Richie? Richie, you were already in here, buddy. Or was it a fake Richie? I don't know. But before I go, if you guys have got any questions to add, we've got 20 questions so far. I'm going to ask for a few more questions. Any topic. Since we're in the Halloween month, if you guys want to ask me some Halloween questions, I'll write those down. But any question that you want, let me know and I will write it down. So I'll give you like 3 or 4 minutes and then I'm going to turn off the stream. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. There wasn't much chit chat today. There was only a little bit. But I guess everybody was enjoying the stories I was telling. But anyway. So to all the people that did show up in chat, I really appreciate it. And I will be back tomorrow with another stream. That's right. That is right. But if anyone has got any questions, let me know and I will write them on down. So far we have got, let me count them all up again. Let me count them up. Let's see. So far I have got, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, 20. So I've got 20. Okay, Richie. Richie says the first one was a fake. I'm just tuning in. Okay. Well, Richie, you kind of missed the entire stream, buddy, because I've been going for about an hour and 22 minutes. So the stream is almost done, buddy. It's almost done. By the way, I got my Ghostbuster mug from Halloween Horror Nights. This was from Halloween Horror Nights 2019. That was one of the best Halloween Horror Nights I've went to. And I've went to many Halloween Horror Nights. Some by myself, some with my buddy Eric when my buddy Eric lived here. Good stuff. Good stuff. I got to say, when I went through the Halloween / Ghostbuster haunted house, it was more funny than scary, but there was some scary aspects, just like the movie, just like Ghostbusters. Parts of the movie is scary, other parts of the movie is funny. It was a good bond of both. But to see the Stay Puft as big as it was in the haunted house, pretty awesome. Slimer, they made Slimer in the hallway, like eating all that stuff off the tray, like when you first see Slimer. So it was very screen accurate. The haunted house was very screen accurate and tons of inspiration from the film. So thumbs up. Good stuff. Vision says, I've been listening. I've been listening. Just got up to make some food. Oh, cool, Visions. Well, I'm about to end the stream. But Visions, have a nice night. Richie, have a nice night. Joy Boy, have a nice night. Everybody else that tuned in. If you guys have got any, Chicken Wizard, have a great night. I think that's everybody. If you guys have one last chance, if you got any more questions, let me know and I will write them down. But if not, Fears is going to tune off. And I'm going to make some dinner and all that good stuff. Richie says, take care, John. Thanks, Richie. I appreciate that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to Fears Vlogs and FearsMan26. Check me out on the old TikTok at FearsMan26. Check out my friend Egotistical Commando, my buddy Sam, on YouTube, because he's no more with the Twitch. He's all about the YouTube now. And subscribe to Visions, Lord Visions website at www.exhumvisions.com. Great merch there, guys. Check it out for yourself. I don't know if Visions has got any new merch. He throws up new merch like whenever he wants. I haven't been to his website in quite a while. I think the last time I was on his website was when I first got back to Florida. So, Visions, I'll probably check out your website again tonight before I go to bed. All right, guys. Fears is taken off. I will see you guys later. Peace. Deuces. All right, bye. Shabadunk, shabadump, dump, dump, da 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 dump, 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 dump. All right, Chung. I'll see you later.